Hi, friends. Um, I am doing this live, uh, acknowledging this very potent eclipse that we have coming tomorrow at 10:14 a.m. at 22 Libra. And we've all, I can't say we've all, but I've been hearing from everyone that we're feeling pressed, and I know I certainly have been feeling pressed with the energy of this eclipse and all of the various cosmic weather that's happening right now. And in fact, I'd wanted to do this live a couple of days ago and have so been in my own process that I couldn't do it until now. So, on the eve of this eclipse, I want to share with you the energy of the degree of 22 Libra and a little bit about the 22 frequency. And this information about the 22 frequency and the degree comes from Elias Lonsdale, who's my teacher's teacher. I am a certified soul level astrologer with a professional practice. And yeah, I think I just want to share a little bit about the frequencies. So, the frequencies are the deepest use of soul level astrology. Which I was taught by Mark Borax at the College of Visionaries and Wizards. And frequencies are the deepest way of reading into a chart. And in fact, the frequencies are so deep that despite having studied them for years, I still don't fully grok them. And I just, a little bit about this 22 frequency, and this is from a class I took with Elias a while back. Um, he gives the short description of the 22, Elias refers to as the split self. And this frequency is associated with the sixth life stream in star genesis and soul level astrology, which is the sign of Aquarius. And so the sixth life stream is what overlays the sixth house in traditional Western astrology. And it's what we have, it's the out breath, it's where we come out of ourselves and we are meeting and being met by the other. And so this is where we come out and we get activated in the outer world and we are activated by the outer world. And he describes this split self as being many things at once. And what Elias says is that every degree of the 22, which every degree means the 22 in Libra and Scorpio, in Aries and Taurus and Gemini, and so on and so forth, dramatizes what it's like to be fundamentally split down the middle between the world of phenomenal appearances and the world of inner hidden reality. And every degree in the 22, in its direct actual life experience, is exceedingly intense and charged. And what happens in the world of the split self is that we're in this massive struggle between who we really are on the inside and what we find ourselves expressing on the outside. And it's a horrific experience, and ultimately, on the other side of it, very redemptive and very profound. And I have certainly been finding myself in that experience the last few days. And we just know that the one that we seem to be on the outside isn't, in fact, who we really are. And it disturbs us and it puts us into a feeling of exile. And we've somehow taken on, sorry, I keep having to adjust my computer. Let me see if it'll hold still. There we go. Where we've been in exile and we've somehow taken on this alien, strange form that maybe is kind of like everybody else, or maybe it isn't, but we aren't them, and yet we're encased in them, and we just can't get them behind us. And we have to keep coming back into the day wake world and integrating our experience of being the other, of being beyond, of being yonder. And in that process, What we're actually doing is discovering how to integrate the truth and the reality of our innermost soul and the karma that we face eh, eh, when we're this encased, enclosed personal being in a world that's full of illusion. And this is a realm in the 22 frequency where we must take up our karma, and we're beyond our karma, but we're also caught in our karma. And it's this exquisite paradoxical edge between the two that defines our existence and has many, many ways of being simultaneously truly unbearable and also redemptive. And we're all familiar with what the unbearable aspect of it is, or at least I am at this moment in time. So, how is it redemptive? This is the spiritually prescribed way to work out our karma in a fashion that is not reactionary and not impulsive and not swept away with ourselves, because the humbling that we have to go through every morning when we wake up and are back into the regular human form is just somewhat decimating and devastating. And that's actually how our karmic sheath, our container is. And it makes us somebody that we're not. And it makes us a product of the past that hasn't yet emerged into the future. And it's a situation where we have to keep digging our way through. And if you can do that, if any of us can do that, what that means is that you can encompass all things and become your authentic self in the bargain, with none of it left out and none of it neglected and denied. So that is one of the keys for this eclipse, is how can we dig our way through enough through the split level of ourself in reality and ourself in the other. And this is Libra, so it's very much about the mirror reflection between us and the other. How can we each do that enough so that we can encompass all things and be our authentic selves and leave none of it out and not neglect or deny anything? So I think that that's what I want to say about the 22. There's a little bit more I actually want to say about the 22, and then I'm going to conjure the degree. So in the 22 frequency, we get into contradiction, and we're coming from all of these different sides. We can see things from different perspectives, and we're not in any one place at one time. And so we can't choose one perspective over the other. It's this common field that we have to learn how to work with. And we have to be many different ways at once that are contradictory and at odds. And from that, we have the possibility of becoming somebody that we could have never been before. And we're learning how to switch the track from the external to the internal, how to keep the external going so that when the internal comes, the whole thing can work itself out. And it's all about timing and grace and coming into it as we can, gradually, slowly, systematically, and with many layers of skill and finesse to it. This degree, this frequency 22 involves mastery. And just a little bit of context. So, this eclipse is happening at the degree of 22 Libra, which is why I'm sharing about that frequency. And now I'm going to read about the degree from Elias's book, Star Destiny. Sorry, my camera is funky. Um, a zodiac oracle. So this reading of this degree is what's called the star spark or the Chandra symbol. So without further ado, this degree is an ancient glass vial, perfectly preserved. An ancient glass vial, perfectly preserved. There are these places within Earth where the timeless ways are held intact, remembered, known as right here, now. These places have magical power of an immense kind. They are deeply magnetic. They draw unto them specially selected souls to enact a facet of what they bear and hold. The souls who are drawn in there find themselves being put through the ultimate initiation. Raise your hand if you feel right now like you are being put through an ultimate initiation. I certainly know that I am at this time. We must prove that we are worthy to bear the lost inner essence, to draw it forth afresh. There is one quality we must demonstrate to the utmost extent. We must show that we are steady, clear, intact, not able to be thrown off course by the endless testing action we face. We must learn to honor this pathway and no longer react to it. We are being trained in a great art. We must ourselves be the vessel. We carry the magical ways directly within us. But these ways are volatile. They explode contained, fixed worlds. So there must be mastery to be able to inherit these powers. Most of the patterns involve waking up from amnesia. To see this lucidly is the world's strangest experience. You gotta get there in stages. And when you at last are ripe, something else altogether happens. We find that we are just the right person in just the right spot to bring across what is otherwise beyond everyone's grasp. We do it by emanating the vital force of the timeless ways. We do it by emanating the vital force of the timeless ways. We don't act, we be. That kind of presence on that threshold is liberating and renewing and worth every ounce of self overcoming. We don't act, we be. That kind of presence on that threshold is liberating and renewing and worth every ounce of self overcoming. And I just want to share that I have been in one of the deepest initiations of my life. And even though it's everyday life that I'm living right now, I'm not in a workshop, I'm not in ceremony, I'm not in some meditation intensive. The practice that I have been engaged in has stretched me beyond my capacity over and over and over and over and over again. What I have been personally in has been triggering my deepest childhood wounds, my anxious attachment, like everything, every trigger I could possibly have in my space that I am aware of has been in my face these last few days and weeks, that it's been culminating in these last few days. And it is it is not that I have traversed this space with any level or degree of mastery. I have been stumbling and falling and, you know, falling down and going boom and bleeding and not being the most gracious version of myself. And I've been giving everything to discover how can I bring this together. And we'll see. The proof will be in the pudding in these next couple days if I succeed. And all I know is that what there is for me and for each of us to do right now is to give our 120% to do our best to succeed. And I am in this with you. I couldn't even do this live until now when I had enough of a grip that I felt like I could at least share from some kind of coherency in myself, which I didn't have before. And I just want to also share a little bit from John Sonbach, who has a book called The Circular Temple, which is another reading and interpretation of the degree symbols and the omega symbols. And what he says about the Chandra symbol that I just read, an ancient glass vial perfectly preserved, is that this vial is protected from the elements, and um, and the key is that it doesn't be protected by becoming hard and resistant, but through creating a protective aura around itself within which we can maintain our sensitivity and delicacy. So that's a key for all of us. This is not a time where the way to get through this is to become hardened against what is coming. The way that we can integrate and alchemize this energy right now is through creating a protective aura around ourselves within which we can maintain sensitivity and delicacy. And to be protected, this vial must have been buried in the ground or in some other way hidden or valued and handled. Imagine that this vial, this ancient vial, an ancient glass vial, perfectly preserved. It's not just a vial, it's ancient. And it's not just any vial, it's not steel, it's glass. So this vial must have been valued and handled with care by generations of people. However, this protection has occurred, and what has come down to us is something beyond the current fashions and attitudes and without modification, meaning without compromise. And this degree signifies ways of being that transcend what is passing, and a timeless sensitivity that, when shared with others, can reawaken their sensitivity. So I especially speak this right now in light of what is happening in Israel and in Palestine. You know, there's hardening there. There's so much hardness. There's so much anger. And that is not the way for humanity to come through this. The way for us to come through this is by finding how to care for and protect ourselves. And it's totally understandable when people have been attacked over and over for years and we've meddled in things that we're not meant to meddle in, and we've overstepped the bounds. Of course, hardness, right? That's the response that we all tend to have, and that's getting played out in a very global way right now. So my deep imploring of myself and of each of us at this time is, please, can we each find, what do we each need to do? How can we each approach this in our own ways, in the ways that are right for us as individuals and as communities and as a whole? How can we approach what is happening within us, inside and outside of us? How can we find how to approach that with sensitivity in ourselves and share that with each other so that we can reawaken our sensitivity and hold that kind of space? And that is what I have to say about this eclipse that's happening tomorrow morning at 10:14 a.m. And be kind, be gentle, be caring, be fierce, and be tender at the same time. And I send you all so much love and um, prayers and desire that we all succeed in this endeavor that we're in. Thank you. Good night.